We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Darian Talks UTSA. UTSA has an upcoming game this weekend against. Just getting stuff situated on my desk here. Shout out to UTSA Cup. But yeah, just getting things kicked off. UTSA has a game this weekend against Houston Christian University. It's got to be a bounce back game for UTSA. I think this beginning of the season has started out as about as bad as it pretty much can. I think we have not put good football, a good football product on the field yet. We haven't seen what this team is capable of, and I just think that they have underperformed quite considerably since the season has started. So this game is slated to be sort of a bounce back game for the runners because they're FCS school who hadn't really got off their great start themselves, although they did put up 70. Wait, how many points they put up last week? They put up a lot of points last week. Yeah, they put up 70. Yeah, they put up 70 points last week against what school is that? Louisiana College. So yeah, but even though with that, I think UTSA should be fine going into this game. This shouldn't be a game where we're struggling. We should go in here and dominate. You don't want to take any of these other programs for granted, but I think at the end of the day, if we are struggling to put up points and capture a victory against a team like this, then it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problematic season. If that's the case, and conference will not look good if that's the case. But I fully expect UTSA to come out and dominate. I think we'll start to see the offense, probably throw some more things and try some more things in this particular contest. I think we'll start out pretty early, all business, no games, no jokes, get up to an early lead, and then we start to really show our stuff and things like that. I think we're going to need something like that. We need this sort of confidence boosting game, after what we've just been through. I think a lot of the times whenever they go into crafting a schedule, the important thing like timing and having where games like this are right matter. And you look at UTSA and what we went through against UT. Obviously, the schedule makers probably looked at that situation and says, you know what, it's a great time to play Houston Christian after we, play a game against UT because we're not expected to do well in that game. So I think that's what you're seeing. So we should be able to bounce back with this game. That's why I put that, sort of on the thumbnail of the video. It's going to be super important that UTSA does that. And I think we have a very, very big opportunity to do that. As far as some of the things that I'm going to be looking for, I think that's going to be the first question. So I'll jump into it. Shout out to Eric. He was first today. He beat Mike by about how many minutes is that? About 20 minutes. Eric says back again with the same question. What would you want to see out of this game to feel good about moving into conference play? I think the key thing is this. We have talked about, the depth, the talent, the squad that we have just in general, the athletes, the guys that were 4-star and 5-star, in their past history before coming into UTSA. I want to see some of that stuff show itself. I want to see a game where we're not struggling to, do simple things. We're not getting penalized a ton. We're actually showing some discipline. This is a team where, we should be polishing ourselves, getting ready for conference play. This shouldn't be a situation where we're trying to build confidence from basically the ground up in this particular game. We had hoped to get some confidence built up in those first couple games, right? And then, we go out and let and do what we can against a team like UT. But you'd want to see us start to polish off some of the things that UTSA had been doing well. I think the problem is UTSA has really not done anything well up to this point, at this time of the season. So what is there to polish? So to me, I'm really looking for this. What will make me confident is for us to go out there and put up big numbers offensively, and for us to hold that spread offense that Houston Christian is going to, try against us, to hold them to minimal points. Like domination would give me a little bit of confidence because that would let me know that all right, the players are now probably feeling good. They're going to roll into conference with, a little bit of confidence about themselves, and to start to have some belief into themselves, even against a team like this. Just start to have that belief as they go into conference play, and then at that point, all you need is one conference win to get the train rolling and get some real momentum. So I don't know if it'll give us big time momentum coming out of this game, but I think this will reset where our confidence meter is, just so the team can look internally and say, hey, you know what? We are what we thought we were. We just, started roughly. And to be fair, UTSA, especially in these first 3-4 games, just historically, even on the trailer, has not started the season very well, and has not done very well in non-conference, and then we've turned it on in conference. So, and I'm talking about just quality of play. I'm not saying we didn't capture wins and things like that, but I think that this is a game that we must dominate. I would worry, I would worry a lot if we stumble against a team like this, and the game just turns out to be closer than what it should be. We should be wiping the floor with this team. Nothing like some good fresh H2O. Okay. Let's see. And this is what worries. I'll tell you the thing that when UTSA is losing, looking at those chat numbers today, they are not as big as they were. I'll tell you that. Um, Mike says we need to show signs of improvement. We need a dominant win in all phases. We need to put together a complete game. I absolutely agree. I do believe that a complete game against a team like this, it can't give you. I think as a team, you kind of know that you're going to be playing lower competition, but it can't be a situation where you just can't. You can. It's important that we don't stumble. That's basically what I'm getting at. If we stumble, then I think when Coach Traylor talks about like the locker room and reinforcing that the guys are still having a really good spirit, and reinforcing that the guys are still confident and they're coming into work every day and they're putting in the shift and they're chopping at the bit to get back out there. If you go and struggle against a team like this, you'll start seeing some guys waver. You'll start seeing guys question if, they're being directed and coached properly. You'll start seeing guys question, purpose, and question if they want to be at the school and those sort of things. You'll start seeing guys do that. And when that starts to fester up in the locker room, that spells for a poor season. So to me, not only is it something important that, we just need to show that we're good. And to me, there's a whole other side of this to where it's like, we need to, not only do we need to dominate and win so we can go on and have a festival season, we also need to dominate and win so we can grab a hold of the reins and start to build some retention, right? Like retention and recruiting and things like that, it never stops, never sleeps. There are probably guys in their locker room, very small amount, maybe one or two guys or something like that. Every time a spell of adversity happens that's like super big, somebody's fed up with it. And somebody is making that decision and thinking about exiting, not like during the season, but I'm talking about they're going to be, they're like, and you see, especially when you see guys come out on podcasts, everybody has a podcast now. A lot of the college guys have podcasts, but when you just hear some of the guys talk, they'll point back to a game in like game 3 or something where something went awfully wrong and they got upset at their coordinator, they got upset at someone, and they'll point back to that moment to say, hey, that was the time when I made my decision to get up out of here. Right. I think right now that could have happened at Texas State. Right. But I'll tell you this, if we if UTSA goes into a game like this where we're heavy favorites and it's an FCS team and we don't perform well, you'll start to see heads drop if we don't perform well. So it is imperative that we come out, stomp on these guys very, very quick, and kind of go from there. That's what's important. That's what I'm hoping to see. And that's simply what we have to do. It's simply what we have to do. Mike also says, what are your thoughts about the Pac-12? Looks more and more like that will be the move. Not sure if we're ready, but may not have much of a choice. Look, I'll say this: so do I think from a competitive standpoint we're ready? No. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's not going to be the old Pac-12 and it's not going to be Power Five or anything like that. I understand that, but like right now, it's not necessarily about who we can compete with on the football field. I don't know who we can compete with right now on the football field with our current form. Um, I mean, we're gonna have trouble competing with our conference if we don't be careful. I'm talking about the AAC right now, but I have seen just the rumors of the type of money that will be thrown our way. So I'm more inclined to understand and be more open to the move to the Pac-12. I'm not a huge fan of it, but like financially, if it starts to put UTSA in a different space and it's something that can really push the program forward and it's something that can, put us in a position to, at some point be at the top of that conference, I'm all for it. I'm all for the betterment of whatever the best move is for UTSA. What I don't like and what I said on Twitter that ruffles some feathers is I don't want to be in a situation where we're going to go up to a conference and we're going to be a punching bag. That's what I don't want. And it's not like whenever you consider the lack of NIL resources that we have, whenever you consider the, us struggling to be able to pay staff and keep staff here, whenever you consider some of the administrative folks that are helping the team that don't have some of the, cute jobs or whatever the case you may be, when you hear about how low that they are paid to help out the team, when you hear some of those things and you think about some of these other more established programs who have this stuff already figured out that we'd be walking in there with, yeah, that worries me. That worries me because we'd be walking into a situation where we already don't have, we're toward the bottom of this conference from an NIL perspective and things like that. Just imagine what it'll be if we go over there, right? So some of these things that I think about that are going to be important, but let's see what the deal is. If UTSA is getting $15 million a year to be in the Pac-12 compared to the 3 or 4 we're getting right now in the AAC, that's something that has to be considered. So there's a lot of stuff with the TV deals and things like that, and all of that. We'll see what happens, but if it's at the end of the day for the betterment of UTSA and the growth of the program, I want to see UTSA be as big as possible. So if that means a move to the Pac-12 gets us there, it is what it is. I still think it's a little early for us, but I guess there's no perfect time for that, right? I guess there's no perfect time. Okay. 210 Danny. Shout out to Danny. Pisano article stated that UTSA is ranked last in the American according to Pro Football Focus. A little too much shade considering 6 other American schools have the same record as us, and Temple is 0-3. Yeah, I definitely seen that article myself. Here's what I'll say to that. And I mean, listen, I think your point is right on like, yeah, there's a lot, half the conference is in the same boat that we are, which is fair. Here's what I'll say though. I feel like, if I'm honest, I can't blame that ranking. And that's just probably me being like super harsh on like, just having a high standard and want more for the team. I'm sort of that way too. Like I'm that way just in general with anything I do. Like I'm sort of, I think honest and blunt feedback is a good thing. And if you look at the way UTSA has not played good football at any point this season. And I haven't been following every other school super close in the conference, So maybe somebody else is out there looking worse than us. I mean, Temple is 0-3, but like there's context that come with everything, right? Like like Temple, like I mean, I'm looking at Temple. Yeah, they probably they pro- okay. Yeah, I'm looking at their games. They, I mean, I don't know. Like I'll say this. I mean, they've been sort of blown out twice, and they've been close in one game. Um, I'll just say this. I mean, maybe last is a little harsh because I don't think we'd be Temple, but what does it matter? Like, even if we're 10, I mean, we're gonna be one of the we're at the bottom third, I would say, or not bottom third, but the bottom three of the AAC right now. I mean, I think that's a deserved position in my opinion. Um, yeah, I don't think that UTSA is playing any good ball. Like Kennesaw State, we played good for a quarter and a half offensively. I think the defense put together a rather complete game against Kennesaw State, but offensively we were poor that game. A quarter and a half we played well, and then we had that game got a little too close for comfort. And then obviously both sides of the ball were poor against Texas State and inconsistent in terms of execution. The offensive coordinator is not doing well. UT, we didn't expect them to do, much at all. We've seen some flashes of good play, but when have we played good football? Like, I don't think they're throwing shade. I just think whenever you look at the expectations that we entered the season with, who would have expected what we've seen over the last 3 games? So um it is what it is. It is what it is. You gotta be careful. Look, read so much into those rankings and stuff, though. It's like, it is what it is. But to be fair, UTSA hadn't played very well to be ranked any higher. Shout out to Albert. Shout out to Albert, one of the members. Huge shout out to Albert. Shout out to Poe Ghost as well. Um, Me and Poe Ghost are in a fantasy league, and I had a bad week. I have Puka Nakua and I have AJ Brown both hurt. So yeah, that injury bug is for those of you who play fantasy football, the injury bug is coming to get a lot of top players. And yeah, I've definitely been bitten. So I've been sending out trades left and right. And there are people in this very chat who deny all my trade requests. No, yeah, man. I'm still gonna find a way to get on top to win the game, but it's been a rough start to fantasy for me. Anyway, he says if we don't have a dominant win, I'll be truly concerned. To this point in time, I haven't lost any sleep yet. Yeah, like I'm not that. I've lost some sleep against Texas State. I'll be honest with you there. Um, and it's not even the fact that Texas State beat us. I think it was more so the fact that the way it happened. Like they smacked us, bro. Like, they smacked us pretty bad. So yeah, I definitely lost some sleep for that game, 100%. But yeah, like if we don't have a dominant win, to the point that I was making earlier, it's not a great look at all. Albert is with Poe here. He says, I'm with you. There's no reason not to look like world beaters versus HCU. I don't care that they put up 70 on St. Mary's Sisters of the Blind. Shout out to Albert. Yeah, we should dominate this team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's yeah. Does McCown transfer if we go 6-6 or lower? How many players transfer out? If we go 6-6 and lower, I mean, is he going to have a lot of options that are going to be a step up? Unless he's told that he's not going to have the job next season, I don't think he will. If he finishes this season as the starter, then why would he transfer? He go into that offseason knowing that he's a starter. Something that he hasn't done before, something he hasn't experienced yet. And yeah, I think he would come back. I don't see him leaving. But I will say this: there'll be a lot of guys that transfer out. A lot of guys. And our recruiting, like in terms of bringing guys in, will not be as great if we flame out like that. 100%. And also the problem too is we don't have money to go get some of these folks. People ask me all the time, almost, weekly, Why didn't we go into the portal and get a big time quarterback? We can't afford it. We can't afford it. It's one of the reasons I posed a question yesterday on my Twitter for anybody who's seen it. I posed the questions yesterday because here's the thing, like like there, big spenders, like the people with deep pockets are going to come in and they're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting on the NIL thing. And I think there's a lot of folks who support the program that can contribute a lot less, but you know how, the compounding of a lot of folks contributing a little actually means a ton in the long run. So I just was sort of asking that question, and people were giving a lot of valid reasons as to why they don't contribute, and some of those things. And I think it's all fair, but like one way or another, we're gonna have to solve that problem on the money side, right? We're gonna have to solve that money side problem because you can't bring people in or bring good, solid, disciplined players in, not being able to come with anything to the table. It just doesn't work that way anymore. And we're gonna have to figure that out. So anyway, if we don't have a good year and we go 6-6, or if we don't make a bowl game, there's gonna be a lot of people hitting that portal. And they're gonna hit that portal coming from being coached by Jeff Traylor, which is, he's someone that has a great reputation. So those kids that hit that portal are probably going to be sorted by, some really, they'll have some good opportunities and good options. The quarterback position, though, is a little more tricky than the other ones. A black guy. Okay. If we somehow get into a dogfight or even lose this weekend, knocks on wood, I will certainly do that as well. Do you think the coaching staff will be on the hot seat? No, 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 no. Coach Traylor won't be on the hot seat. I think parts of his staff will be on the hot seat. I think parts of his staff is already on the hot seat. How can the offensive coordinator not be on the hot seat? Like I said, I'm not in the film room. I'm not with them. I have no ties to the program in that way at all. Um, but you look at I just don't think our offensive coordinator has gotten the ball to, so I just don't think we're doing a good job of exploring and honing in on the talent that we have. We have all this talent with all this ability, and we very seldom see it. We very seldom see it. And to me, we got to get the ball in the hands of playmakers, guys with, crazy ability. Um, I just think we got to do a lot more than that. So I don't think Coach Traylor is on anybody's hot seat. Coach Traylor don't got to win a game and he ain't going nowhere, right? That's just a fact. But like I'm talking about for this year, this season. But yeah, I think some of the folks like the offensive coordinator for sure. Albert says, "Do we have an OC problem, or does the OC know that we're not capable of doing things offensively due to personnel?" Great question. Great question. So, I would say that's a really good question. I think it's probably a little bit of both, but I will refer back to this. The OC did not play Caldwell at all last season, and we had the personnel that was capable to do more things, right? So, it's probably a little bit of both, but like I don't want to hear that because we see some of the talent. Like we see flashes of the talent that we have, right? Like I listen, one thing that everybody remembers is Will Henderson getting up that sideline and we got to get a glimpse of what that speed is like. Right? Everybody remembers that. And that's just the easy one that pops into my mind right now. But everybody remembers. So like my thing there is like, okay, I'm just going to use him for an example. I'm not saying that they should just hone in solely on him and make sure he does things, but I'm using him for an example. I've talked about this a lot even before the season. That's the type of person player profile that like you draw up certain things to put the defense in a poor position on guarding him, and you put him in a position to where he get to show that speed off, right? Um, who else? I mean, Robert Henry, right? We need to get him plays where he can get out. We seen him break for 56 on Texas. Like we got to get him opportunities to where we can get him in open space. McEwen and some of these other guys who are a lot more elusive. We just don't do a very good job at that. We just aren't. We just aren't. We're very predictable, and we're not fast. We don't make fast decisions from the quarterback position yet. So I'm sure he'll get better as the season goes, but I think that has something to do with it. So I think the problem is not just solely the OC. I think the problem starts with the OC and trusting the guys he has to rely upon now. We can't afford for this OC doesn't trust the new personnel. I don't want to hear that, bro. We got games to win. The excuses are for the birds. Everybody else that we're playing or installed to have new coordinators, new head coaches in some cases, so on and so forth. That those excuses don't matter anything. You at the end of the day, you got to execute. This coordinator has been with us for 2 years, and he didn't play Caldwell last year with people that he knew for a fact that were capable. Some of them on NFL rosters right now, or in the NFL practice squads, whatever you call it. So yeah, I mean, it starts there. I'm sure some of the players got to execute. I mean, there's plays that I've looked at and pointed out where players just didn't execute, and there were actually great play calls by the OC. But I don't know, man. Like that problem, like a lot of the times, some of the coaches are dismissive of what fans are looking at and calling out and saying that it's a problem. And a big thing about a lot of it is like, oh, well, you guys aren't in the locker room, or you don't know football, so on and so forth. Listen, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see some of the issues that this OC is put before us. So I know for a fact that that situation is being looked at. At least I feel that. Anyway, I don't know for a fact, but I feel like it has to be, right? Let's see. Derek says, make sure I don't have any. Yeah. Derek says, if we don't drop 50 plus on HCU or struggle against HCU offensively, I'll have to jump on the Burke bandwagon being replaced. Yeah, I mean, listen, yeah. I'm giving them 42 points is probably the minimum for me for this weekend. 42 points. We don't need to play around with this team. And that's a 42 points, to be fair, is hard to score against anybody. Let's be very clear about that. And I don't take that lightly. Like, I don't care who you're playing. That's not easy to score. But I'll just look at some of the teams they've played. SMU hung 59 on them. Now you can say that's SMU. They're a better football team than us at this point in time. That's all. Those things are all true. But SMU hung 59 on them. We hadn't scored more than 28 points this season, right? We've had 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Not great. We've scored a total of 6 touchdowns in 3 games. So we're averaging 2 touchdowns a game. I guess you can say that. Yeah, to me, 42 points is my sort of North Star number. We need to be there or above. 50. Sometimes it goes on, coaches are going to do mercy. Like if we're up 42-0, like coach is definitely going to show mercy and probably just run the ball the rest of the game. So and that gets predictable. But like 42 is my number. But yeah, offensively, we have to do something. And yeah, the Burke bandwagon being replaced, like, dude, some of the calls, bro, is just unbelievably bad. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Sergio says Boise State consistently sells out their home games. We need to get our marketing up and pick up the slack. Yeah, man. I think. Yeah, Yeah, that's one of the reasons I worry about the whole move up to the Pac-12. It's like, yeah, like I don't know, competing with some of these teams is it's going to be it's going to be a lot more difficult, and I just think that we are so behind and lagging on so many different things that it'll just be it'll be tough times when we move up there. It'll be great and celebratory, but I think the early days will be very difficult for us. Um, so yeah, Scotty B says we started the season 1-3 last year, looking like we will be 2-2. Stated course. I think ship is turning. Uh, I hope the ship is turning. I have not seen any evidence that would suggest the ship is turning, or any concrete evidence. I think there were flashes in the UT game, but at the same time, we lost that game, 56-10. So yeah, that's difficult. It's tough. It's difficult for me to say that the ship is turning, um, but I hope the ship is turning. Well, I hope the ship will start to turn after this weekend's game. And like I said, I'm expecting a big performance. I'm expecting UTSA to come out and put up some real numbers against this team. And I think that right there would give me confidence, as I said earlier, that we'll be in a position to where we have something to look forward to in the conference opener for us. But like, if we stumble, that to me is just going to be a problem, because the teams, like, the thing that I think is very underrated about like football in general, and like some of the things people don't understand as they watch football from a spectator standpoint, is teams have to learn how to win year in and year out, right? Yeah, whenever you have like a team that's already established and dominant, and you still have that same nucleus, then it's easier for them to influence the new guys that come into a thing, right? But whenever there's a team that loses that nucleus that they've been relying on for so many years, whenever that nucleus is gone, well, now you have these new guys that come in, and they've seen the other guys win, right? And there are some guys who were there whenever the winning was happening, but maybe they weren't a part of that nucleus. Now that you have all of these new collection of people, those guys have to find out, how do we win as a team together? Just by going out there and beating the Kennesaw State didn't mean they learned to win, right? Like, or learn to consistently play winning football. That's the thing. We don't consistently play winning football. We hadn't put together we've put together one full quarter of complete, consistent winning football. Whenever we opened up the game against Kennesaw State, that's the only time we've seen that. But consistency is not just one quarter, not just over the course of a few drives. Consistency is, can we do this 3.5 quarters? Sometimes you got to do it all 4 quarters, right? A lot of the times you got to do it all 4 quarters. I can tell you this: those teams that won conference championships were playing winning ball all 4 quarters. A lot of the time. Not to say that they didn't make mistakes and things like that, but they played winning football. It was in their pedigree, it was in their passion. You could see it. You could just see it, almost as an aura that's around the team. You can tell. The team that we're watching this Saturday has not got that yet. They don't got that yet. They got to learn how to win, and they got to learn how to win together. And that's going to be something that I think is going to be super important to what the future of this season looks like and how we're going to go in a conference play. That can start with a game like this. It very well can start with a game like this. I don't think a game like this is something to say, hey, they beat this team badly that they were supposed to beat. But like I said, it can give them a shot in the arm of confidence to say, you know what? We are who we are who we thought we were, right? We are this talented bunch of guys, and hopefully, if you go in with that attitude against the conference opening opponent, we can play from skill for skill. We can play with anybody in the conference, skill for skill, team for team, roster for roster. We might have we might have the best in the what's the name, if you just look at individual players and what their capabilities and ceilings are. But how can we get them to realize some of that potential and get closer to what their ceiling is, and how can they do that as a team and a unit together. Those are going to be the things I'm going to be looking for over these next couple of weeks to see, like, is this team learning how to win? That's going to be hugely important to what the season looks like, and if we even have a chance at some postseason um, um, success. Derek says our best offense on the trailer has been with other OCs because we have talent. Our best offense has been we had talent. I think you meant because we had talent. I think we have talent now. I don't know if you meant to say had or have here, but I think we have talent now. I just think it's new, and we have to figure some things out, right? I think we just got to adjust. Like the thing that Coach Traylor he keeps saying in some of the interviews is like, yeah, I know you guys are say like, how don't you know some of these things? Because you guys spend all this time practicing. And I think some of that is correct. Like, I think that's a fair thing for people to ask him and ask them, because in my opinion, I can't tell. And I'll go back to this, outside of Devin McEwen and they have coined him as the guy, but like he can't be the only guy. So how are we going to get some of the other guys in opportunities where they can strut their stuff? I just don't see us do that enough, man. I don't see it. I don't get the feel that we're able to do that. That could be quarterback play too. But I don't know. We just have a lot of ground to make up, but I do think we got an abundance of talent. It's just how we're going to utilize it. Steven says, I think the O-line showed signs of getting better discipline. Now still with room for improvement, but our QBs just need to get out of their heads and throw the ball accurately. Our QBs are definitely not consistently accurate. That is unequivocally true. I did think the O-line did a little bit better on the run blocking against Texas. I do think they did that. Now we just, to your point, right, we need discipline. There's obviously a lot of room for improvement, but listen, there are signs that things can turn around. I think the team in general are busting their behinds, I believe. But yeah, man, like, I'm just hoping this week goes the way we all in this chat are thinking it's gonna go. Pogo said, I'm gonna have a bad season. I might too, bro. I might too. We need to talk on some trades or something. Ivan says, sorry for taking the dub this last week from you, Darian. I have a good feeling this week for UTSA football. Yeah, so you did the damage. You did do the damage last week. Yeah, but I wasn't gonna beat you anyway. I think you put up 175 points, bro. Yeah, I wouldn't. No shot. Have a good feeling. I hope we'll win the game, but if we don't score over 30, or you could absolutely, if we don't score 42, I'm concerned. If we don't score over 30, we got a problem. We got a serious. If we don't score over 30, in my opinion, we see multiple quarterbacks, and the quarterback is like it's kind of clear now that Coach Traylor is like, I'm full-fledged with McCown. So I think that much is pretty clear. But yeah, if we don't score 30, dude, we're in hot soup. Remember, priority says, on a small positive note, they only had 3 penalties for 32 yards and 1 turnover versus Texas. That was a huge step. Absolutely. Like I said, that we are showing signs of life. We are showing signs of life. And I think that's a great point to point out. We did cut down on some of the penalties. We didn't turn the ball over as much, but we were also very conservative. So, we opened up a little bit. I think we'd probably been open. We probably would have been a little bit more vulnerable for penalties and things like that. But it's a step in the right direction. Let's see. Seth says, oh no, I'm sorry. Did that one. Will Henderson says, got to figure out who's doing what. Too sporadic. I agree. I'm gonna tell you this. I think we're rotating too much for my I spoke about this last week. I just think we rotate too much. We can't get guys in rhythm. If you give everybody 5 to 7 looks or something like that. That's not enough for somebody to get in the rhythm and start to build confidence, right? Like you want guys expecting to get the ball. You want guys anticipating their chance to get the ball. That's what you want. You don't want guys out there surprised when the ball is thrown their way. Um, Case Holmes says, "Do you see us?" I'm sorry. Yeah, do you see us at sometimes start to run the ball more to try and get our inexperienced O line some confidence on trying to find an identity and then use play action off that like we did with Sincere? I think we should have started doing that from the jump, to be honest. I think it would be great to start for us to go back to like some of the I formation stuff we used to do back when Sincere was here. Like coach was talking about like let me see that. Yeah, coach was talking about like, yeah, like we've been running these same plays for years. Nothing has changed and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that, coach. I don't know if I can agree with that because when Sincere was at running back, you guys got in that I formation, right? Got in that I formation and handed him the ball. We don't see too much of that nowadays. So yeah, I think we should. I think our offensive line did show some life though in terms of blocking the run. Still not good enough, but I think they were a little bit more improved than they had been in the Texas game. Will says they believe this game to be a blowout, so certain players won't see the field. Yeah, I mean it should be a blowout. It should be a blowout, but I would think that would make more players see the field for UTSA if we do go up big on this team as we should. Let's see. Oh, Buddy O says I agree with your take in the UT recap about wanting to stay in the AAC because of the regional matchups, but unfortunately, the Pac-12 move seems like the best solution for UTSA's lack of NIL funding. All right, I have a question for you, oh Buddy O. Serious question, and it's actually a question for the entire chat. And I would love to get while we got about 15 minutes left here, I would love to get your thoughts on this. How exactly will the Pac-12 move? How exactly would that move be the best solution for UTSL's lack of NIL funding? I understand that money, there's going to be new money coming in, but considering the person who's probably going to oversee that money and historically how they've, done and allocated funds or what we perceive to where they've allocated funds. Do you really think that the bulk of that money that we're going to get, that additional bump in money, is going to go to NIL solely for football? No. Yeah, I think we'll need more money than that, more money than what they're talking about. I mean, I don't know. Actually, I'll ask you guys. Yeah, I'll ask you guys. Like, do you? Am I tripping on that? Like, let me know. I'm curious. Like, am I tripping? I don't. I just think that like it's going to bring a lot of notoriety. It is going to bring in more money, right? But like there's also other there's requirements that we have to adhere to whenever we come to these conferences, right? So that's probably going to mean some sort of boost in something that we have to do, that we're going to have to allocate money to. And I'm saying it certainly could help, but NIL and all of that stuff, a lot of that stuff comes from boosters, people who support the program, and stuff like that. I don't know if that is going to be, significant enough to change our fortunes in a meaningful way. I'd say that would put us like because I think about it, like you think Boise State's not going to have a great deal with them. They're going to be getting money, and on the TV front, you think they're not negotiating a great deal. They are going to be our direct competition. It's not about where we are now, right? Like Well, it is about where we are now and what the Pac-12 and the money coming in and what that'll do for the school and things like that. It does put us on a higher level. I get that. But relative to our competition, where does that land us? In the same exact spot. In the same exact spot. Resource constrained and not enough money to really, really compete with the big hitters. We can't compete with the big hitters in our own conference right now, right? Um, so yeah, just my thoughts though. Just my thoughts. This is not me like going after your take here. I just um may be on the opposing side of some of it. But like I said, if the folks who are a lot more versed in the NIL space and all of this pack the realignment stuff, if they look at it and it is objectively a good move for UTSA, then I'm all for it. Seth says, "Do you believe that Kavorian Barnes should be getting at least 20 carries?" No, I don't think so. He hasn't shown me enough this year, or even last year to be getting 20 carries. So, no, I no, yeah, that's just no. Uh, Derek says, "We have talent now too. We have always had talent under Trailer." That comment was a follow up to my message regarding Burke being mediocre. Okay, I got you. I got you. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Thanks for the clarifier there. Buddy said only 3 penalties was good to see, especially in the environment. Absolutely, absolutely agree with this 100%. Let's see. Case says when we threw the ball, we had we had 3 good tall wideouts. Maybe move Willie McCoy to slot and JJ outside. JJ. Wait, you talking about JJ Sparkman? Yeah, I'd like to see more of JJ Sparkman, to be honest. I think that kid can play. I don't know what's keeping him off the field, but I think that kid can play. Here's the point, and I hate to. I'm just gonna be honest. I think Willie McCoy is talented. I think he's a really good player. Um, yeah, he's a really good player. But if I'm honest, I've already seen a couple too many drops or just situations where we are not able to complete some of these passes on deep balls that I think that like I'm sure we have receivers on the roster that can go get some of these. Like one-on-one coverage, like Coach Traylor, he's still not over that drop. I mean, I think he talked about it today in the his post-practice press conference today. He still ain't got over that drop when we backed up in the end zone and Orm McCown threw a great back shoulder to Willie McCoy and he didn't catch it. It's not that I don't think Willie McCoy has the talent, but I'm not necessarily mad at your comment here. I think you give somebody else that opportunity, right? And I think JJ Sparkman could probably go in and do that job. I don't think we'd have like we would have, and not to say Willie McCoy hadn't made some good catches because he's made some great catches downfield too. Some of the catches that we do have downfield have been to him. He caught he caught I think he caught a big ball against Kennesaw State and things like that. So like he's done some of this stuff really well, but like we can't just throw those type of passes to him. That's kind of my thing. So I don't know his exact profile receiver. He might not be a slot guy, but yeah, I'd prefer someone with a little bit more size on the outside too. Doing that, it'd be great when JT Clark gets back. Because one thing's for sure, if we going downfield to him, I know he's bringing the ball down. He ain't got to worry about that one. Tell you that right now. If JT Clark is on that field and we got him lined up and ISO'd on the outside, and we decide to throw a jump ball, just his catch radius is crazy. Just you don't have to lead him. Just throw it up, and everybody start jogging down. Yeah, I love to get that back. Seth says, I don't believe that we are a flash in the pan. I believe that this university and football program have come too far, have come too far, and we will continue getting better. I think so as well. Just it's a rough start to the season. And yeah, it's really disappointing that we're in the situation that we're in. Make sure you guys like the video. If you can, that would be super, 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 super helpful. If you are still here, if you're new here, also hit that subscribe button as well. I got to get better at that doing that earlier now. I just get on here and just start going. And I forget to do that. Let's see. Obudio says, I realized right before you read my comment that it probably wouldn't impact NIL that much. I'm not saying that it wouldn't, right? I'm not saying that it wouldn't, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying that it wouldn't. Let's see. I just don't know. That's the thing. I just don't know. Members, we got Albert says, Pac-12, we can't afford the house we live in, so why are we trying to get a bigger home just because we got to raise at work? That's how I feel about the whole situation. Yeah, I feel kind of like that too. It just depends on what the numbers look like. Like if the numbers make sense, do it. Like I'm not crazy, right? Like the numbers make sense, do it, and we'll build the plane as we fly it. But it's just the competitive fit. We are putting ourselves in, we're being real optimistic about what UTSA, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, but man, like I don't know. We'll see. Okay, Aeneas, he says, so what do we gain staying put? Like, is there any benefit to staying in the AAC? Does a Pac-12 move allow UTSS to become a program with resources comparable to our competition? If so, it's on us from there. Okay, what do we gain from staying put? I don't necessarily know how much we gain. I think what we gain. That's a good question, honestly. I can't even lie to you. That's a really good question. I don't know if we necessarily gain anything staying put, but like, I think from a competitive standpoint, I think it would be great for us to rise to that level. I don't think we're at the level like competitively on the field, we are at that level. When I say competitive, I'm also incorporating other things like NIL and all this other stuff. We are dead last. We're at the bottom of the totem pole. Not necessarily dead last, but we're like one of the bottom 3 schools from an NIL perspective in our own conference. I don't know necessarily if a move to the I don't think a move to the Pac-12 changes that. We're going to go to the Pac-12 and be under-resourced. We'll have more money coming in than what we have because they're going to pay more than an AAC. So if that's the reason, and if that's a rationale for going up there, like I said, even myself, I'm not a huge fan of it, but like if the numbers make sense and it puts the school itself in a different space, do that for the growth of the school and do that for the school, because the more money you have, we can do things a little differently, and maybe it does help us start to get more resources and help us sort of catch the competition. But like I said, these other schools that moved to the Pac-12 are going to get similar deals, and they're already situated better than we are right now. So I don't think that makes our resources comparable to our competition. It will make us probably comparable to the AAC competition that we have right now. And I know it's not like a huge step up, right? Like it is a step up, but it's not a huge step up. It'll probably make us more comparable to our AAC folks right now. But I don't even know if that takes us to the top. It probably put us middle of the pack or something like that. Like with the new money that they'd have coming in my estimation. But like, I don't know. I don't know if we gain anything from staying put though. I just like, do we technically gain anything other than like kind of being where we at? And I just think the growth and getting the program and building the program and growing the program in a little bit more of a measured way at this point benefits us. But like I said, if the money makes sense, like I'm not gonna trip on it. More money, more problems too soon. Could be. Seth says, I think the fan scene, the other teams that will be playing, this scene word is screwing me up on reading this. I think the fan scene, the other teams that will be playing will bring in more revenue because they'll be at the game more to versing the Boise State than Race University. My man Seth butchered this one. Shout out to Seth. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to skip this one, my guy, because it is confusing me. And you know what's funny? Whenever I like mess up when I read on this, I get so self conscious because sometimes people be trolling me about it, and I laugh at myself about it too. So I'm gonna have to leave that one there, Seth. Sorry about that, bro. Charles says, when we get Clark back and add Sparkman. Yeah, I mean, listen, if we get Clark and Sparkman on the outside, I think we could take off, especially Clark. Like he because see, so you saying something else about Clark here. He says the offense will take off when we start using Sparkman involved and Clark back. Absolutely. But that's what I mean, right? Whenever I think about an offense in general, Clark is somebody that day one when he steps on the field, that opposing defense is going to know, hey, yo, we need to not let this dude get one-on-one with our corner. They're just going to know that. Like backside, like we need a safety over the top of this. Guess what that does? That safety ain't sitting at 10 yards ready to support run no more. No. That safety's 12 to 14. Because guess what? They're going to try to take the top off when number one is over here on his backside over 3-by-1. Right? So in that situation, it's just that's what I mean by like we don't have a situation right now where they're not coming in and worrying about anybody. They're not worrying about a soul whenever they're game planning and scheming about us. Or for us. I just don't think so. So like we don't have these threats that are pushing and forcing people to adjust their defense. And I think I don't know. I think some of the teams, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Charles says we need some big downfield jump balls, one on one with big guys. Yep, I agree with that. Charles says I'm still looking for that juice we had in the spring game. Yeah, that's why I was thinking about JJ Sparkman being in the team. Yeah, that like the JJ Sparkman thing. When I seen him in the spring, I was like, oh, that dude's a baller. Like he was playing really well. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that. Oh, we got a little heat in here. Marvin Cooper says no player daddy should be on here. Chill out. Everybody's welcome, bro. Everybody's welcome. Play the best running backs. No freshman should be getting any playing time on jet sweeps. I'm sorry, Marvin. I gotta disagree. Mr. Will Henderson's son here. Listen, you don't run that fast and not get a jet sweep. I'm sorry. And this is not because Will Henderson is in the chat. Like I was saying this the second whenever I did the video, whenever he signed to our school, the first thing I said was, hey, yo, I think Aeneas, I don't know if Aeneas was on the show at the time, but we were talking about it. If we got a guy that's rolling that fast, that's rolling like, I don't know, 10-1, 10-2 or something like that, I don't care what you do, you get that guy some looks. It doesn't, somehow you get that guy some looks. Small, undersized, I don't care. You get that guy some looks. And I don't think he's super small. Cooper find you some minutes, sound like a hater. Okay, fellas. Okay. Marvin says running backs, Rocco, Henry. I like Rocco a lot, and I like Henry a lot. If I'm being honest right now, let me go look at the stats real quick. I know we're out of time now. Dang it. I mean, it's my show. I can extend it a little bit. I want to look at UTSA football stats, and I'll wrap here in a second. Because the running back situation, they haven't had a lot to work with, to be fair. Like, I mean, they are all working with slim pickings. Even though it got a little better last week. Let's see. Okay. Well, the stats, man. You'd be shocked at how bad some of the stat sheets are. My goodness. Okay. My goodness. Okay, rushing here. So look at this. Yeah, I don't even want to call out like the players rushing averages. I mean, outside of Robert Henry's averaging 5.8 yards to carry, but he did have that 53-yard break. But like we're just not getting enough production. I mean, you look at like Kavorian Barnes, he has 19 attempts for 47 yards this season, 2.5 yards to carry. None of the guys have great looking stats. So I think running back is just a position where we have to figure some things out. I think Rocco and Henry are really good backs. Barnes is a really good back too, but he just got to find himself. He has to find himself, I think, 100%. May said, "What's the timeline for us to win the AAC conference?" Honestly, Mace, I would have said 3 years. Like I would have said the 3 years started last year, so I would say next year. But like, consider if we don't figure out what we want to do at quarterback, then I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We got to figure that out. We got to have something elite at quarterback to win what's name. I don't know if the two guys that we are depending on right now are the answer to that. I'm not. I hope that we find someone who's going to come in and take that elite role, right? Because I think that's possible, and there's other guys on that's currently on the team that it could be them. But I think the two guys that we have, I don't know if they're quarterbacks long term, and we got to see more. We got to see how the rest of the season play out. I don't know if I'm super confident that we'll be able to meet that timeline that I was thinking 3 years from last year. And Marvin Cooper is a Rocco fan. Rocco is the best running back, no fumbles. That's true. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a really good running back for sure. He does not have any fumbles. If I had a starter right now, like an outright starter right now, to be Henry for me. But like all three of those guys are great. The top three, and we just have talent in general. Man. Like our running back room is uber talented. All right, last one. Pogos is joking. He says, "Why don't we try Amador? Don't forget he's a QP. Amador got to get on the field, man. He's been banged up for a bit, so hopefully, he's feeling better. We can get him healthy so he can start catching some passes and doing some stuff with the ball afterwards." But anyway, thank you guys for the extra couple minutes. Same time after the game, I'll be here in Austin, so expect that recap. So peace. See you guys.